Hi, this is Chef. This food is F-U, Death Pizza. This works great. Hiya. This is Reverend Cha-Cha. Hiya. This is Chef Cha-Cha Dave. Tonight we're going to make a pizza. It's a hot chicken tikka pizza, deep dish. Let me get started right away. Okay, this is already just started a second rise, but I'm going to push it down. And this is a fusion pizza, and I'm going to bake the crust first, a little bit, half-baked. Alright, and I'm going to roll this out because I need it to be a specific thickness. And the dough is a standard pizza dough. You could use milk in it if you wanted. I chose to use water. And it's not going to be a thin crust. Alright, now we're going to push this. Going to roll it out. And it's going to go in a deep dish pan. Okay, we're going to roll this out. It should be like 1/4 of an inch thick, a little thicker than like your thin crust pizza. Doesn't have to be perfectly round. It will form when we throw it into the pan. Okay, right now, so I'm going to take this is the pan I'm going to use, and I'm going to spray some oil on here, a little olive oil, and actually not a little, we need a lot, because it's going to set right in here, and I'm going to bake this to just get the dough half done. Okay, now I'm working this all around, pushing it up to the sides, and since there's oil in it here, it wants to slide back, but that's quite alright. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is really a stuffed pizza, because it's going to be very filled with a lot of meat and tomatoes. Okay, so now that's pretty good. I'm going to take forks now and put some holes in the bottom to let the steam escape. You could also put some beans in here if you want to hold it down. This is fun. Okay, and I'm just going to push this a little bit more, one more time around, pressing it in. I can feel it moving on the oil. Okay, so now this is going into a preheated oven at 385 degrees. I'm putting a little under 400 for about 20 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes. I'll take a look at it and then we'll be back. Okay, so now we're back. Here's the crust, partially baked, and you can see that it's loose out of the pan, which is a good thing. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So what I'm going to start with is cilantro cooking base. This is pretty hot, and this is what this looks like. It's Goya, and it's quite delicious. After you open it, you need to keep it refrigerated, but it's pretty spicy, but it's great. You can use it in so many different things. You can put it in rice, but at any rate, I've decided to try it on this. I've used it in other things, but what I'm going to do is just coat the crust with this. All the amounts of everything that I'm putting on here you will see on the website, but for the size of the pizza that you may be making, maybe less or more, and this is all to taste. You know, I'm the kind of cook that I like to experiment, and after I make something, it maybe is too much salt, too much pepper, maybe there's too much heat. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do on top of that is to put a little bit of olive oil, not too much, but just to give a little bit of a shield between everything we're putting on here. Okay, and then I'm going to just brush that around, and I can get a little bit up under the crust too. But we want the crust to be crunchy. This is pretty thick. You can see that it's thick, but it's cooked enough now. When we put it in it again, it'll be just fine. Alright, now the chicken, these are chicken thighs which I have sauteed, and I'm not going to use all of this. I think I put 3 cups on the recipe list. And there's yogurt in here, and there's marsala and Tikka Pizza, and a lot of different spices in there. I always like more. I'm a more person. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to put on top of that are some onions, and what I did was that I dropped these onions into the microwave just on a plate, just to soften them a little bit. Alright, and they'll cook down into this very nicely. They're still pretty warm. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to put on is some chilies. These I seeded. There's a few little seeds in there, and I'm going to layer all of this. We're really building this pizza. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to put on top of that are a few bell peppers. Okay, but not the whole thing. And then the next thing I'm going to put on some tomatoes. These are chopped tomatoes. These are from a can. I drained them. There's still a little bit of juice in there. But this is, you don't want regular tomato sauce. It just doesn't work well with this. Alright, now after I put on the tomatoes, this is about a cup, maybe a cup and a quarter, maybe a little over. Don't hold me to it. Okay, now I'm going to put a little turmeric on top of the tomatoes. Okay, then I'm going to put my garlic. Ginger powder, just a little bit. There's also a little ginger in the marinade for the chicken, which has already been totally cooked, but you can't have too much ginger. I love ginger. Okay, now I'm going to just throw a little parsley in here. Okay, now I'm going to put on jack cheese, which has been sliced. Alright, because jack cheese will melt and become very creamy, and I kind of, Amar loves a lot of cheese, so he gets very excited when I put a lot of cheese on things. So if the camera starts shaking, it's because he can't control himself. Mozzarella cheese on top of that. Now I'm going to put a few more bell peppers on here. Okay. Now I'm going to put, you can put this in any order you want. This is a little oregano. You need that with the tomatoes. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit more mozzarella on top of those peppers. I think when we took this phone order it said extra cheese. And on top of that, just a little bit of olive oil. Oh, this looks great. On top of that, some Parmesan cheese. That's why I'm calling this a fusion, because generally on a Tikka Pizza, you know, everybody has their own take on it. And whatever is good, whatever tastes good, that's what you have to test, make things, and never throw anything out. If it's not, doesn't come out good, you eat it anyway. You try to convince yourself that it's terrific. And a little parsley on top, just for interest. Okay, now this is going to go back into the oven, okay? And for about 25 minutes at, I would put about 400, then I'm going to lower it down to 350, okay? And we'll be back and we'll look at the finished product. Yum. Hiya, hiya, I'm back. Actually, there were a couple things I wanted to just show you. I forgot to tell you that on this, when it goes in the oven, since this was already baked, the crust, I put silver foil around the edges so that this doesn't get totally burnt. I like it crusty and hard like this, but this really helps it. Same thing you do with apple pie, but I forgot that. And the other thing that I forgot to show you, I wanted to show you the shirt that I had. I thought it was very funny, and we'll see whether you think so. Ha 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 ha. I thought that was cute. You didn't know that nails had feelings. Alright, now, so on this, alright, it's in here, see, it's still loose. I'm going to put this right out on the board, like this, okay? And, actually we just push this cheese back a little bit. This looks really terrific. Alright, I'm going to cut a little piece off. And this is going to be pretty hot tasting. There's a lot of heat in here. That's the good part, huh? That cheese. So you can see how thick this is here. Okay? Now, we also can put a little Parmesan cheese on top. And I can put Parmesan cheese on top of this. And that'll melt down into it. And even though the parsley's in the cheese, a little bit of fresh green on top. Okay. Now, I'm going to see if Amar likes this. I'm just going to cut a little piece off here. It's pretty hot. I don't know here. I always say it's pretty hot. Alright, I'm going to give this a little taste too. It's very good. The bottom crust could be a little less done. This is a thinner pan. But the heat is there. And Amar's cleaning his teeth. Actually, he's spitting it out on the floor. Don't do that. That's bad form. Okay, at any rate, you can do anything you want with this, alright? But this is quite tasty, and there's a lot of nice heat in here on the bottom and all the way through. Okay, so this is my chicken tikka pizza, and it's like a stuffed pizza, and it's quite tasty. Enjoy it. Bye.